Nothing in our plans requires any additional tax to be increased. Our policies are fully funded, fully costed. No ifs, no ands, no buts, no additional tax rises. Who said that?
Well, we did, Nick, and it's true.
Oh, good. So there will be no tax increases.
Well, these are our policies. What we're revealing today is what we've found since taking office a few weeks ago. Be in no doubt, we are prioritising growth, but the foundation for growth is stable public finances. And although we knew we were going to inherit a tough situation, the fact is we have found things tougher than was revealed before the election on, for example, overspends in the asylum and immigration budget, which were being funded by the reserve, which should be kept for genuinely unexpected things that come up during the course of a financial year.
You are using this in order to say to people, we're going to have to raise some taxes.
Well, that's not what the Chancellor will be saying today. Instead, she's going to be making some very difficult spending choices. We fought the election on a platform of economic stability, that's the foundation for growth, and we will stick to that, and that's what she's going to be talking about today. So people won't hear about tax rises today, but we do have to be candid with the public about the situation that we inherited. And when it comes to tax, there's been a very revealing comment from the now shadow Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, because you'll remember that during the election, the Tories promised £17 billion a year of tax cuts. He's now admitted to his shadow cabinet that they couldn't have afforded those this year. The government were emptying the country's reserve to pay for other parts of their asylum policy. In addition to that, the Secretary of State for Education had a pay offer for teachers on her desk that nobody told anyone about during the election. And there are other pressures too. And when you take all of this and you add it all up, it adds to significant pressures on the budget this year, which we have to react to. And that reaction will be set out by the Chancellor this afternoon.
To the tune of £20 billion?
Well, I can't say the exact figure. We'll have to see what she says. But it's certainly a significant sum of money, and it requires us to take some difficult decisions. And we're not going to run away from that responsibility. And that's why the Chancellor is making a statement to Parliament on this afternoon.
Will the manifesto pledge not to increase the taxes that you pledge not to increase stand? And will this be focused more on spending cuts than tax increases?
Yes, the manifesto pledge will stand. And today is not about tax increases. Today is not a budget. Today is, I'm afraid, about some very difficult spending decisions.
I know your colleague Steve Reid said yesterday that in some cases there is information that this was deliberately covered up by the Conservatives. Can we expect to see any evidence to be released about that?
Well, I think the Chancellor will be pretty open today and candid with the public, as she should be, about what she's found. For example, the government didn't tell us they were emptying the country's reserve, which is for emergencies, because you do get emergencies sometimes in the course of a financial year. They were emptying that to pay for the costs of their failures on asylum and immigration. So there were a number of things that will be revealed today that they didn't say before the election. And what it all adds up to is that they were just running away from the situation.
And even when it put aside James Cleverly and others, Paul Johnson from the IFS says the black hole shouldn't be a surprise. I don't really think this is credible at all. There should not be a sense of surprise. There's a big issue here. Again, he's wrong and everyone else is wrong, Pat.
Look, I'm not saying, I fully respect the IFS, but when they see the full picture of what's been revealed today, they can only work on the information they've been given previously too. And everyone will see that there are things today that have been discovered in the last few weeks that the Chancellor will set out this afternoon.
The choice for you, Pat, is either you borrow more or you're going to have cuts in public spending in the next few years outside a small number of protected areas, or there's going to have to be some tax rises. And, I mean, isn't this about taxes needing to go up in the autumn budget?
Well, we said certain things about tax during the election, about not raising the rate of income tax or VAT or national insurance. Those commitments hold. People won't hear about tax today. What they're going to hear today is a responsible government responding.
It's interesting you should talk about tax because we had Helen Whately on from the Conservatives just over an hour ago, and she said that Labour, the government, is now setting up a narrative which will lead to putting up tax. Is that what you're going to do?
Well, today's not a budget. Today is about tough spending decisions. Today is about setting out the picture that we found. We said during the election that we wouldn't put up the rates of income tax, VAT or national insurance. We will stick by that, and that's what we'll do. That's what we said before the election, and that's what we say today.
And we know that Paul Johnson from the IFS has pointed out that that 20 billion figure is pretty much exactly the same as Jeremy Hunt's pre-election national insurance cut. That's quite convenient, isn't it?
Well,
be an easy change to make.
In terms of advice on tax, that's an interesting representation.
The detail was there already if you'd wanted to focus on it.
Well, we knew we were going to inherit a difficult position, and the IFS are correct about that. But the point of today is it is even worse than we thought, because there are things that we've discovered that weren't spoken about.
So it's worse than the 20 billion that the IFS flagged?
It is worse than we thought during the election.
Than you thought, or the IFS flagged?
But worse than both. They will have to today, like everybody else, acknowledge that the budgetary pressures this year are higher than those set out in the OBR forecast before the March budget. That's going to be the picture that's revealed today.
So that's a striking revelation. You're saying that the details that the government gave to the OBR, the past government, gave to the OBR to publish their analysis was wrong. The government misled the OBR.
They are going to have to be revised today because there are in-year pressures that the government didn't tell us about.
Will Labour accept or the government accept the recommendations of the pay review body regarding teachers and NHS workers with that 5.5% pay rise?
I have to ask you to show a little bit of patience for another few hours, but I would say this about public sector pay. You have to balance all of this, fairness to the workers themselves, fairness to taxpayers as a whole, and also the need to get our public services working normally again. The industrial disputes that we've had have caused great inconvenience to school pupils, to people waiting for appointments in the NHS. We want to get the public services working again.